Kevin J. Johnston, the #1 name in the land of the North, he's risen to fame. 40 years deep in the law he's read. Now the CRA shakes in fear and dread. Stop paying tax forever, my friend. With Kevin J. Johnston, the fight doesn't end. Corporate debt, he'll make it all good. He's the man the CRA misunderstood. They vanish like mist when Kevin shows up with his legal fist. No more matching, no more lies, just clean-cut books and clear blue skies. Stop paying tax forever, my friend. With Kevin J. Johnston, the rules start to bend. The CRA can scream and shout, but Kevin knows how to throw them out. They claim they've got the final say, but Kevin proves there's a better way. He fights for truth, he fights for you, and teaches what the courts won't do. Forever today. Let Kevin J. Johnston show you the way. The expert, the rebel, the man with a plan. He's saving this nation, one client per hand. He's got 40 years of tax law knowing and corporate skills that keep cash flowing. GST, payroll, all in line. He'll save your neck and every dime. He studied law, both civil crime, and makes tax code sound so sublime. With stand-up jokes and punchlines tight, he makes your seminar a night of light. Kevin J, CRA just runs away. He's the tax manslayer with a legal plan, the best-looking genius in the land. Kevin J, taking all your tax away. If the government's scared, then it's safe to say he's the hero of the North, Kevin J. 2 million women cast their vote, said Kevin's hot, that's all she wrote. The suits at CRA can't compete, he's beaten them clean without deceit. 100 mil he's saved so far, he's raising truth like a legal star. And if you think you owe the state, he'll show you how to terminate. Kevin J, CRA just runs away. He's the tax manslayer with a legal plan, the best-looking genius in the land. Kevin J, taking all your tax away. If the government's scared, then it's safe to say he's the hero of the North, Kevin.
Kevin J. Johnston here. Welcome to the Tax and Money Show that plays every single Tuesday live right here on freedomreport.ca. Tonight we're talking about illegal shit the CRA is doing now, and there's a whole lot of illegal things the CRA is doing. We'd love to cover that so that all of you are not going to be in a state of panic nor fear, but all of you are out there protecting your assets, protecting your families, protecting what is yours. As always, I will get through a lecture for the next hour, and the second half of the show, I will take all of your questions. And as I was telling everybody on TikTok, no, I'm not high. No, I'm not drunk. My eyes are completely bloodshot because I've had just 2 hours of sleep 2 nights in a row. We opened up a couple new divisions of the business here. They are working incredibly well. Our new AI system is actually working, and I am thrilled beyond belief, beyond reproach, with how well it's working, but it's a lot of hours. So if you're wondering why my eyes are half open or half closed, depending how you look at it, it's because I just can't wait to go to bed. I got to get a good 8 hours, which, as it turns out, my team have scheduled for me right after the show. Do not forget, everyone, that we have ourselves a team or a group consultation taking place Wednesday, October 29th. Head over to kevinjjohnston.com and grab yourself a spot. There are 11 left for that night. That is a group consultation, everybody. And the group consultation is a group of 30 people tops will be in the chat room together. I give a quick half-hour speech on taxes, and then we take everyone's questions directly. And there's a lot of really good questions that come up on those nights. So don't forget to head over to my website, kevinjjohnston.com, and get yourself one of those consultations. All right. Ooh, I think that we should dive right into it. Although you're not going to be able to see this on TikTok, and you're not going to be able to see it on Instagram, but you can go back and see the replay. I just got to let everyone know that we switched servers. We moved all, and I mean everything in Canada is no longer in Canada. Any information I had in communist Canada is now in, well, let me lie to you about which country it's in. No, we did not move our servers to Panama. Maybe it's Russia. Maybe it's Switzerland. Maybe it's Argentina. I'm not telling you where, but we spent the vast majority of the weekend working on our new software for our clients and cleaning up all of our server space and whatnot. And as I'm moving files, I found a little, this is an anecdotal tale here. I found a hilarious graphic that you all have to share with me now. And that is, there was an arena in Burlington, Ontario called Centennial. It was horrible. It was built in the 40s. Freezing cold hockey rink. I was refereeing part-time 20 years ago. And then in the rink, because it was so cold, I would wear 2 sweaters, t-shirt, 2 sweaters, and my referee's outfit. So my jersey would bulge to the point where I looked like a ball refereeing, a ball with a whistle. Everyone called me the fat ref. That's what it was. So I found the caricature that the guys had put together for me here. What does everybody think about that? Now that is some funny stuff. the hair on the back is hilarious. Where are my feet? How are my feet hanging in space like that? And I think the pink thong really just lines it right up. So when you are cleaning out your hard drive, everybody, it's amazing what things you can find. That is the caricature of me. Yes, TikTok, Instagram, you'll have to go back and watch the replay on freedomreport.ca to to see it. All right, enough playing around. Let's dive into it. Tonight we are talking about the illegal shit CRA is doing, and we're going to start off with slide number 1. Let me get my lovely Foch down there on the left side. There I am. So the CRA is continuing to threaten people on the phone. Now, I'm a little bothered by people on TikTok and Instagram who see my videos where I'm talking about when the CRA calls you. They say, the CRA never calls you, man. It's only letters. The CRA never calls. Yeah, they do. They do. It is incredible how many armchair lawyers there are out there, people who think they know better than I do. I'm the number 1 tax guy in the country. They think they know better than me what the CRA does and does not do. Yes, the CRA phones people. And yes, they are still threatening Canadians in every way imaginable. So we have the CRA are threatening prison time for not cooperating with a request for information. A request for information is a letter that the CRA sends out where they say this is a request for information, and according to the Income Tax Act, blah, blah, number letter, that you should give it to us. All right, that's all it is. It's a request. Requirement for information is a request for info, and the correct answer is no. But we're going to cover this right now. The CRA has published an updated policy document, and yes, I do read everything they publish, and that is a communique AD 2504 on July 25th of 2025 regarding its information gathering powers. What a word to use. Under the Income Tax Act and the Excise Tax Act. Key changes include a CRA official may request information under Section 2311 of the Income Tax Act or Section 288 of the Excise Tax Act and specify that the response must be in any form specified, such as spreadsheets, charts, tables, etc. I think they forgot to mention you could also grab cow patties out of the pasture and mail them that. It doesn't say cow patties, but you can mail them cow patties. That's cow feces for those who don't know what a cow patty is. All right. A draft of the law, and now it's in draft form, okay? A draft of the law would allow the CRA to compel persons to answer questions under oath or affirmation or affidavit as proposed under Section 231.41 of the Income Tax Act. Now, that is a problem. Compel essentially means point a gun at you and tell you to do something. Right? Compel. Good luck compelling me to do anything. Now, unless you've got the gun pointed at me, you're compelling me to do nothing. And the CRA have announced that they have this power already. They don't. It's still in draft. It's a draft of the law. But could you imagine someone says, you have to answer my questions, and then you have to take time out of your day to talk to a notary public, and you have to swear these things in. Now, let me explain what that means. Whenever I do tax returns for my clients, everything I do is 100% accurate. 100% accurate. So I call a notary public and I swear the document in. I swear. And in the affidavit is my talent set at the beginning and then all the truths about the tax file further down the page. And I swear that they're true. It gets registered with the courts, and then I submit that document into the CRA. I'm the only one in Canada that does that, by the way. Now, if I was to lie in the affidavit, they could try to get me on perjury charges, right? That's what they would try to do. Now, if the CRA was to lay claim that there was a perjury in there, they would still have to find a way to get me to testify. There's only one way for the CRA to know if someone lied. You'd actually have to physically go on the stand, take the Bible, swear that you do tell the truth, blah, 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 and then snitch on yourself. That's the only way, period. And they know it. But the average person doesn't know this. So if they're going to force you to swear something in, no matter what you say, and no matter how honest it's going to be, they're going to hit you with perjury charges. And then they're going to say to you, oh, perjury is 14 years, which it is, but you won't do 14 years if you just pay us tax. That's the strategy. I'm telling you right now what they're going to do. That's illegal, completely illegal, whether the Income Tax Act gets rewritten or not. The Income Tax Act is not a law. Criminal law is the law. The Income Tax Act is a guideline for the CRA. Let's go a little bit further here. The CRA's request for information may now be more expansive, with fewer explicit procedural safeguards regarding privilege, advocacy rights, transcript rights, etc. Oh, don't worry, folks. I'm going to go through this thing and tell you all of your rights, all of your rights. Now, I think I'm supposed to say, this does not qualify as legal advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. But I don't live in Canada anymore, so even if I was giving you legal advice, what are you going to do about it, CRA? What are you going to do about it, huh? What are you going to do about it? You're going to come all the way down here to Panama and get really mad and shake your finger at me and scold me and tell me that I should not be costing the CRA so much money? Is that what you're going to do? You're going to do nothing. Nothing. That's what the CRA is going to do. Nothing. All right. So the CRA, so the concerns. Now, these are the concerns that were put out by the supposed news. Let me just clear out. There we go. The supposed news says that these powers may raise constitutional issues such as self-incrimination, fairness in administrative procedure, solicitor-client privilege, if they are used without adequate safeguards. The obligation to respond in any form specified may force creation of documents that the taxpayer did not originally hold, raising questions of undue burden. Now did you understand that? Let's just say that this stupid idea passes as a law. Let's just say it does. And they now say, well, you must give us all your information on a spreadsheet, but you've never had one. Your accountant never did one for you. Well, now what? Well, now you're being compelled according to this law. So you're going to put stuff into the spreadsheet and they're going to make you swear it in. And no matter what, that spreadsheet is going to have a mistake. And they're going to say, nope, that's perjury. That's perjury. We avoid this entire thing by remaining silent. We've covered that topic many, many times. But the CRA does not yet have this law in place. And it's not going to be a law, everyone. It's going to be an update to the Income Tax Act. That's all it's going to be. So you still don't have to do it. They can compel whatever they want. They'll compel the middle finger out of me, which they should be compelling out of you as well. That's how this is all going to work. If you just stop talking to the government, there's nothing they can do. So moving on to the next bit of the crime, they are threatening prison time for not cooperating with a request for information. The slide says, wait, what? Section 231.1 of the Income Tax Act. This provision allows the CRA officials to inspect, audit, or examine the books and records of a taxpayer or any other person who may have relevant information about a taxpayer's tax liability. No, it doesn't. It allows them to do it if you allow them to do it. What it does is it allows them to ask you to do it. It does not allow them to do anything other than that. Remember, the Income Tax Act is not the law, right? The law is the law. Hey, how good to see you again. All right. So it also says, enter any premises or business excluding a dwelling house unless they have consent, which you should never give them, or a judicial warrant. Require any person to provide documents or information that are or should be in their possession and that relate to the enforcement or the administration of the Income Tax Act. So if someone comes to your door and says, mama, give me stuff, give me paperwork, mama, leave them on the front porch, go to the cat's litter box, grab the brown chunks out of it, put that into an envelope for them, hand them the envelope, close the door, lock the door, call 911, and tell the cops you've got somebody smearing cat feces on your front door. They'll get caught with the cat feces in their hands. Come on, guys, play the game. Play the game. Have fun with it, but make sure that you give them nothing. Here we go. Essentially, under if this goes through, okay? If it hasn't gone through. Essentially, under Section 231.1, the CRA can issue written demands compelling a person or business to produce accounting records, invoices, and ledgers, bank statements and contracts, emails, correspondence, or other relevant records. Failure to comply can result in penalties or prosecution for obstruction under Section 238.1 of the Income Tax Act. The Income Tax Act is not the law. All right, so let's move on to our third slide here. All right, the slide says, threatening prison time for not cooperating with a request for information, but you can tell them no. CRA key legal limits. This is what they don't tell you. CRA cannot use these powers. They're not powers. I hate that word. CRA can use these irritations or cannot use these irritations for criminal investigations. Those require judicial authorization under the Income Tax Act 231.3 and the Excise Tax Act Section 290. Hey, did you get that? They cannot initiate criminal investigations. The CRA can get on the phone, and whoever calls the RCMP won't speak English. So imagine being an RCMP officer. Hello, Constable Davis here. Oh, yes, hello, the guy down the road, and in the house, he has the records. You have to go over and get him. What's the cop going to do? He's going to say, hold, please. And he's going to go looking around the place for someone who speaks that language. And he'll find it readily. And then the two of them are going to argue back and forth. I don't know if you've ever heard Indian people from two different castes, like, the caste system they have. But when you've got one from Canada who's from the upper caste and one from the mid caste, it becomes a shouting match at the top of their lungs, because somehow they can tell by the dialect and the accent that the other Indian guy on the phone is inferior to them. So it ends up being quite the riot. The only thing funnier than Indians from other castes arguing with each other are Jamaicans playing dominoes. Whenever I see two Jamaican boys playing dominoes, especially if they're old men, I pull up a chair and I watch. And I'm laughing like this. Okay? I don't let them see me laughing. It's entertaining. But that is what would happen. The CRA would have to call the RCMP and have to convince the Royal Canadian Mounted Pork to arrest you for something. But they don't have proof. They just have suspect. And when I say they have suspect, I don't mean they have a suspect. I mean they just suspect that perhaps you cheated on your taxes, but they can't prove it. So requests for information, which they say that they have the right to do, which they have the right to do. It's a question, but they say that you must answer, which is not true. It says the request for information must be reasonable in scope and relevant to a legitimate audit or for compliance purposes. All right, it's got to be legitimate. Nothing the CRA does is legitimate, and I mean absolutely nothing. So the problem for the CRA, this is my legal background now coming forward and telling you why this ain't good for them. The RFI, or request for information, is too broad. If it is too broad, it can be challenged in federal court as an abuse of process. Solicitor-client privilege always protects communications between a client and a lawyer, even if the CRA requests them. That's right. So you tell your lawyer something, your lawyer can't tell the cops, can't tell the Crown, can't tell judges. Yeah, it's a really old concept, and it's a good one. However, you can avoid the courts by throwing them out of your office and not cooperating. Some loser shows up from the CRA and they say, I have the right. If someone says, I have the right, end the conversation right there. It's the same idea as when someone says to me, let me be clear. Conversation is over right there on the spot. There's nothing you're going to say that I want to hear. Let me be clear. F off. That's it. There's the door. You can do the exact same thing with these morons from the CRA. All right, so let's move on to slide number 4. And again, the slide is called Threatening Prison Time for Not Cooperating with a Request for Information, but you can tell them no. Always tell the cops, bylaw officers, and the losers at the CRA, talk to my lawyer. And you end the conversation. You just end it. Done. We're not talking anymore. If they keep asking questions, just yell, lawyer, lawyer, lawyer. Where's my lawyer? Lawyer. Talk to my lawyer. 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 Get my lawyer on the phone. Lawyer. Just keep saying lawyer. Peel Regional Police thought they were being cute one day, and they kept asking me questions even after I told them, I'm not talking. I want my lawyer. And her name was Catherine Dodds, a little morbidly obese cop who's like 5'2", shouting at me at the top of her lungs. She was as terrifying as a dead mouse in a paper bag 20 feet under the water. But I said, no, thank you. I don't feel like talking to you. I appreciate the opportunity, of course. No, where's my lawyer? And she just kept asking. And I just kept saying, lawyer, 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 lawyer. And one other cop in there yells at her, would you shut him up? Stop asking him questions. He's just going to keep saying lawyer. So she was told by her supervisor not to bother me anymore because I was apparently bothering them by saying lawyer with a big smile on my face. So next slide, everybody. Threatening prison time. This is what the CRA tells you, okay? When they come to your door or they phone you or whatever it might be, when they want information from you, they will say, or according to section 238.1 of the Income Tax Act, every person who has failed to file or make a return as when required by this act or regulation, or has failed to comply with the demands served under this act or regulation, or who has obstructed or hindered or attempts to obstruct or hinder any person doing anything that person is authorized to do under this act or regulation is guilty of an offense. My God, if that was true, they would have put 9,000 warrants out for my arrest by now because I duly interfere with the CRA and obstruct the CRA every single chance I get. Oh, and you all know I record the conversations and put them on social media. So, in plain meaning, everybody, if someone ignores a formal CRA request or demand for information made under section 231.1, and they call it audits and inspection powers. Powers. There's that word again. Or interferes with a CRA official conducting an audit or inspection, then CRA can pursue them under section 238.1 as an offense under the Income Tax Act. Conviction can result in fines and or imprisonment, typically a fine between $1,000 and $25,000, or imprisonment up to 12 months. We've covered this before. All right, I'm going to move on to the next slide here. All right, so we're going to go back and forth between this slide I've now got on the screen and the one I just read. What they do not tell you, that's what they do tell you, the previous slide. What they do tell you, what they don't tell you is the following. And I'm saying on my slide here, this sounds like compelling. So what is the defense for not cooperating? Number one, lack of statutory authority or improper purpose. CRA's audit powers under section 231.1 of the Income Tax Act or 288 of the Excise Tax Act are administrative, not criminal. So someone puts a piece of paper in front of you and says, sign here. That's administrative. What's the correct answer, everyone? Starts with F. It ends with F. You guys know what it is. If the request is made for a criminal investigation or to gather evidence for prosecution rather than to verify tax compliance, then the demand is invalid. So the same Income Tax Act, the same clause of the Income Tax Act that the CRA uses to tell you that you must cooperate also tells you that you don't have to cooperate. I've told you this before. We use section 231.1 all the time. It's called non-compliance, where we essentially are saying, hi, CRA, thank you so much for your sweet and kind offer to have you come to our place, waste our time, and audit our books. We are going to decline. Do not come to the property. You'll be arrested. It is that simple. And if a CRA representative comes to your property, you tell them to leave. If they don't leave your office after you tell them to, you are actually allowed to use minimal force to shove them out the door. Right? You can do that. That's legal. Now, to clarify this for everybody, I'm just going to repeat what I said here. What the CRA does not tell you that their crap is administrative. Everything that they say that they have the power to do is administrative, not criminal. So if it's a criminal investigation, they're not the ones doing the investigation. It's the cops. So you would get a phone call from the RCMP, and it would be some loser after he's done doing whatever with his horse and saying, this is Constable or Sergeant from the RCMP detachment, and if you are smart, you'll say, oh, RCM Pork, I don't care about you people at all. Call my lawyer. Hang up the phone. It would be the police doing a tax fraud investigation, not the CRA. They're not cops. They are losers. That's what they are. I cannot do an investigation on you as if I was a police officer. I can't lie to people and say, I'm a cop. I can't, and I'm not going to do it. That's called personating a peace officer. No, thank you. It's a crime. The CRA does this. No one ever charges them. Sad, but true. So everything I just told you, you can read this for yourself, by the way. Don't just take my word for it. This was affirmed in Regina versus Jarvis, 2002, SCC 73. Once the Canada Revenue Agency's predominant purpose becomes penal, they must obtain a judicial search warrant under Section 231.3 of the Income Tax Act. All right? Regina, that means the queen, or I guess what is it now? Oh, we have a king now, Charles. Now it would be Vagina versus Jarvis. And it says that if the CRA wants to take something from administrative, which is just them making irritating phone calls to try to get you jail time, they must pass it off to the cops because the CRA are not getting a warrant. That's just how it is. Everybody who's got questions, save them for the second half of the show, please. So you can read the case law for yourself. That's Regina versus Jarvis, just like, the computer from that movie series. All right. The defense that you're going to use then is the request for information was issued for an improper investigative purpose outside the administrative scope of Section 231.1 of the Income Tax Act. Well, that's us saying, no, we're not going to cooperate. So what happens here, the crime that the CRA is committing, the illegal portion of this, is that they pretend to be cops, and they're not. They state that they have warrants. They never get them. They tell you that you must comply when the word is shall comply. And they don't remind you of your rights, everyone, to remain silent. The cops do. The cops carry guns, and they tell you you've got the right to remain silent. They'll even tell you sometimes, hey, don't say anything. They'll actually do this. Don't say anything. Depending on the cop, it's an individual choice. But why then does the CRA say that you must comply when they're just administrative losers? Well, because you fall for it. That's why. Because it works. Because you're going to give them free money. It's free money. They just show up and say, hey, hi, give me money. And Canadians fold up and say, oh, okay. Oh, CRA came to my door. They said I'm going to jail. Ah! Right? It's one of those things that we used to say to each other in grade 5. Yeah. I'd ask, Johnny for a Rolo. Give me one of your Rolos. He'd say no. I'd say, I'm calling the police. You're going to jail. Oh, do you take a Rolo? I don't want to go to jail. That's what this is. It's grade 5 shenanigans from the schoolyard. Don't fall for it, everybody. Please don't fall for it. So going on to slide number 7, defense number 2 is just shut the hell up. Shut up. Shut the hell up. Stop talking. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to tell anyone to get lost. You have the right to throw cops off your property if they don't show up with a FEMI warrant. So just tell them, get lost. Stop bothering me. If it's a cop bothering you, file a complaint with a supervisor. If it's a CRA bothering you, call the cops. Right? That's what you got to do, everybody. All right. We'll talk about wage garnishing later. That's questions for the second half of the show. Moving on to slide number 8. There's more of what the CRA does not tell you, which is what makes everything they do illegal, because they're not telling you what your rights are. And before we move on to that one, right here, there's only 4,800 likes. We got to get this number to 100,000. So everyone, please Just double finger. It's free to do. Double finger, double finger, double finger. Start liking. Same thing over here, everybody on Instagram. Yeah, just get those fingers going, get the likes going, get the shares going. It really does help. The information I'm giving out is extremely important for everyone to know. So, more to know about the CRA's nonsense is they have something here called overbreadth. Overbreadth, it's a weird word. Let me spell it for you. The word over and then breadth, breadth, like an encompassing thing. It is a strange word. Under overbreadth or unreasonableness, the CRA must act reasonably and proportionately. A request that demands all emails, documents, and financial records since incorporation may be challenged as oppressive, phishing, or irrelevant. It's true. You know what you should do? This would be better. If they were to say, give us everything that you've ever given us from the day you incorporated, look around downtown Toronto, Montreal especially. Just look around. You're going to find a whole bunch of used condoms all over the ground. Put on gloves, put on a hazmat suit, pick them all up, put them in the envelope, mail that off and say, we can't find the paperwork, but we found the condoms since the beginning of everything. More to come. There you are. They want to be stupid? Let's play the game. All right? We are allowed to play games. Before you send someone else's stuff in a condom, though, call a lawyer and make sure it's legal. There we are. So the federal court precedent, another court case you can look up. I am so sorry about the blurriness tonight. There we go. TikTok does this. It gets blurry. I don't know why. So federal court precedents. BP Canada Energy Company, British Petroleum. BP Canada Energy Company versus Canada, 2017 FCA 61, confirmed that the CRA cannot demand tax accrual, working papers, or other internal documents merely to look for inconsistencies. That's why I tell you, mail what's in your cat's litter box, mail what's in the farmer's patch, mail whatever you want, but don't mail your stuff. They don't have the right to see it. They don't have the right to see it. And defense number 3, the scope of the request is overly broad, unreasonable, and demonstrably relevant to any specific audit purpose. This would be a non-compliance situation. If you got the balls to say no, say no. Right? There you go. You know, prank videos for some reason are still a big thing on the internet. Why are there no prank videos of Canadians mailing disgusting things to the CRA? Like, hi guys, I'm John. You know, the CRA wants to see all my records, but instead I'm going to send this thing and put it in a box and send it off. That's hilarious. That's funny stuff. Why aren't you guys doing that? Instead, you're busy blowing horns at each other and pretending to break people's windows. That's not funny. Attack the CRA. That's funny. That's very, very funny. All right. Then the next slide would say that defense number 4 is the same as defense number 2. Shut the hell up. Shut up. Shut up. Stop talking. All right. You have the right to remain silent. Use it. You all have tax problems because you lied. So you snitched on yourselves. You all did a tax return at some point. That's what screwed you. Slide number 10. Again, what the CRA doesn't tell you. Solicitor, client, privilege. Section 232 of the Income Tax Act and Section 290 of the Excise Tax Act explicitly protect privileged communications. CRA cannot demand any document that contains legal advice, correspondence with counsel, or litigation strategy. Okay? So that means defense number 5 is the requested material is protected by a solicitor, client privilege, and therefore is exempt from disclosure under Section 232 of the Income Tax Act, and of course, criminal law as well. So all you do, you tell the CRA, I have a lawyer. You're getting nothing from me. Call the lawyer. Conversation's over. even if you don't have one. The CRA lies to people all the time. I'm telling you, morally and ethically speaking, you can lie to the CRA. Lie. They're losers. Lie. Doesn't matter. You know what happens when you lie to the CRA? You win. You get to keep your own money. Lie. Stop telling the truth about your personal life. It's no one's business. We are in such a weird time in our history, everyone, that you should be lying to everybody about everything. You should actually make phone calls to everybody in your family, cousins, aunts, uncles, grandparents. Hey guys, you're not going to believe this, but my bank account got drained. Yeah, my daughter's friend's cousin's brother came over and stole all my money. I'm broke. Right? And then hang up the phone and let the rumor mill start. So if people think you're broke, they're not going to ask you for favors. And they're not going to ask you to borrow money. I'll tell you that right now. So you got to lie. Always make sure you position yourself in this lifetime. Unless you're a public figure and a big mouth like me, you need to have everyone believe that you're broke, especially the CRA. And I got to talk one more thing on this. Okay. I know we have a lot of Christians that watch the show here. There is no moral high ground that you have if the CRA is lying to you to get your money and you tell them the truth to obviously part with your money to them. There's no moral high ground. Don't sit there and tell me, what would Jesus do? Jesus would tell the CRA, like he told the merchants around Jerusalem, to get lost. That's what Jesus would do. I know, I'm Christian. I know exactly what Jesus would do. So stop thinking that you're pious and stop thinking that you are holier than thou because you tell the truth. There's no advantage to it. The whole reason I went down this crusade of annihilating the CRA is because my parents believed that they should be honest. And they were honest with the CRA, who lied to them. And my parents lost 1/3 of their wealth. Had they not cooperated, had they lied, had they just called the cops, they would have kept all their money. They ended up telling me in my lifetime that I should not lie to the CRA. It's bad. Don't do that. I know that they do shady things. I know, but you've got to be above all that. Take the high ground. Take the high ground? Really? Some guy's slashing your tires right in front of you. He's got a knife in his hand. All right. And then he turns around and points the knife at you. What are you supposed to do? All right. Take the high ground and say, hey, buddy, look, I know you made a mistake. Let me buy you dinner. I'm glad you slashed my tires. Or should you take the bottom half of his jaw off? Hey, the government of Canada is at war with you. I don't know if you figured that out yet or not, but they are. Moving on to our next slide. Oh, Lord. So defense number 6, once again, shut the hell up. Just shut up. Stop talking. Now, here's my favorite. And this one comes directly from a law website. Multiple law websites confirm this, by the way. And I was chit-chatting with a good friend of mine who's a paralegal who said the exact same thing. Remember what I've been saying for the last 2 years? Well, here it is. Here are lawyers saying it now. What the CRA does not tell you when they're lying to you to try to get your money, when they're posing as police to try to get your money, when they tell you that you have no right to fight them, which is a lie, that's fraud. When they're doing all of this, the absence of a judicial order is your golden ticket. So section 231.7 under compliance orders, you ain't got to do jack shit without a court order. Nothing. Court order. I tell everyone, get a court order. You want cooperation from me? You want something from me for free? Get a court order. And you better do it in the jurisdiction that applies to me. So there's not a single solitary Canadian court order that pertains to me right now, period. The Canadian government would have to get a court order in the courthouse closest to me before I would even consider looking at it. And I'm still going to appeal it. The hell with these people. I'm tired of the courts. You all should be too. Let me read what this means. The Canada Revenue Agency's written request for information letter by itself is not a court order. There you go. Lawyers. This comes from lawyers, what I'm reading to you right now. Oh, yeah, Kevin's been saying this for the last 2 years. Oh. They must first issue a request under Section 231.1. If you decline, which is your right, they must then apply to the federal court for a compliance order under Section 231.7 of the Income Tax Act. Then they must apply to the court in your jurisdiction provincially, as tax court is not a court. It's a tribunal that only hears appeals. And going to a tax court to get a judgment rendered is actually fraud because the court doesn't have that jurisdiction. So until a judge from the provincial court in your region issues any court order, you don't have to do a damn thing. And if that judge issues a court order, you appeal it immediately. And then you move all your assets. You call me, I move all your assets for you, and you're completely and totally protected. So defense number 7 against the illegal crap the CRA is doing is no compliance order has been issued under Section 231. The request therefore lacks any enforceable legal compulsion. I win. I love winning. You do what I'm doing, you win. You take my advice, which is not legal advice. It's life advice. Brush your teeth 5 times a day. Comb your hair. Get plastic surgery to look as good as I do. That's life advice. And this is also life advice, not legal advice, stating that without a court order, the CRA has no power. They have no authority at all. None. In fact, whenever the CRA shows up, I would love to have the money to have like 50 chimpanzees in the room. I'm not going near those things, by the way. They like to kill everything and everyone. But just so that they'll crap in their own hands and throw it at the CRA. That would be hilarious. Could you imagine? No. And they're surprisingly and frighteningly accurate with those throws. And who's my plastic surgeon? There's a good question there. Your mama. So what'll happen here if the CRA says you must give us something, you tell them, go get a court order. But let's just say they show up with one. You tell them, okay, fine. I have a lawyer. Talk to him. And then you appeal it. So even if they get a court order, you still don't have to cooperate. Oh, man. It's good to know the law. Moving on to slide number 12. So here are the CRA's new filthy tricks, which are also illegal, I might add. Trick here is throwing away your mail. They're doing this right now. If you send your taxes in by regular mail and they owe you money, they throw your tax returns away. And then they lie and say that they never received them. Then they go ahead and they add interest and penalties. That is fraud. They do have a fiduciary duty if they're demanding a tax return from you to at least accept it. But they're just throwing them out. So use a courier. UPS is cool. I like using UPS because we send everything to the CRA with no signature required. All I need to know is that the package got to the CRA office. And UPS will tell us through the tracking number, package arrived. Is that amazing or what? And Rachel's asking, how do I know? You don't think I got spies in CRA? Remember, guys, what I am. I'm a journalist at heart. I have been an investigator for years, investigative journalist. I was a skip tracer. I know how to get information. It's really not as difficult as you think. How do I know? I'm the best there is. That's how I know. All right. Moving on to our next slide, everybody. We're almost through these. All right. We're almost there. Here's another filthy CRA trick they're pulling. They're no longer signing for registered mail. Yeah. So I no longer give the advice to anyone to send your package in to the CRA. using registered mail. You know why? They're no longer signing for it. So they're refusing to sign for registered mail so that they are not liable for whatever legal problems would come for them from what's in your envelope. Yeah. So when they don't sign, they can say, well, we didn't receive it. But the mailman is still responsible for saying, oh, they refused it. So your receipt that you have for registered mail will state that it did not arrive, but they refused it. Nonetheless, they can still say they didn't get it. Again, it is an absolutely filthy, filthy trick. Now, hold on a second here. We got a troll. Just have to block the trolls. Number 15 here. Another filthy, filthy, absolutely disgusting, filthy trick the CRA pulls is they are selling your personal information to the United States and to private companies in other countries. They are in complete violation of the Privacy Act, but they are so broke, and I mean broke, the CRA is broke, that they're now looking to make money any way they can, and they're currently selling all your information, everybody. So remember how I told you all to no longer have personal bank accounts, to do everything through numbered corporations, and to make sure that you are not the director of those corporations? Now you know why. I knew this was coming, but I couldn't prove it. Well, now I know. And now I'm publishing the information. So here's the excuse. The excuse they use for doing this is so that we can collect on taxes from Canadians who make money abroad. Now, why would they want to do that? Canada is not the United States. In Canada, you can make money outside the country, as in fact, as much money as you want. It's not taxable. The United States and Eritrea are the only two countries on the planet with a pay-to-play citizenship. Eritreans and Americans must report their earnings if they made the money outside the country. No other country in the world has that. So when you have an accountant who says you earned money in the United States, you have to report that. Fire the accountant. Get rid of him. He's a loser. That's not the law at all. You don't have to do anything. Number 16, another nasty, vile thing that's going on with the CRA. Now, this one is not only illegal because of the amount of fraud going on, but it also opens them up to a lawsuit that any of you can file for gross negligence and malfeasance. Yeah, you can do this, and you should do this. CRA call centers give auditors wrong information 87% of the time. Thank you very much. All right. Yeah. Costing you millions. So the third world trash that work from home with your private data on their own personal computers are lying to the auditors. And then the auditors in turn are taking the lies told to them, and they're lying to you in addition to the lies being told to them. It's a cluster F, as they used to call that, right? The CRA is deliberately keeping all of their staff in a position of not knowing what the hell is going on. The jerks that work from home are lying to the auditors. The auditors are already lying to you because Section 10 of the Auditor's Handbook tells them how to do so. But imagine that. You wonder why everything seems wrong? Is because the CRA is lying to each other before they even lie to you. It's a frightening thought. Filthy trick, gross negligence, malfeasance, fraud, which would then lead the auditors to extorting you. Start filing criminal charges. What the hell what are you waiting for? What are you all waiting for? Start filing lawsuits. Start fighting back. And our last slide, everybody. Solution with a big question mark. We can clog up the courts and bankrupt the CRA. If 1 million lawsuits were filed against the CRA, it would back up the courts for about a decade. Ontario courts are backed up between 2 and 7 years right now. It's crazy. What if we introduced a million lawsuits into the civil courts? Woo! If the courts are backed up and we're waiting for cases to be heard, then they're not stealing from us. So long as we are utilizing the courts, we're using the system to beat the system, they cannot be stealing from us because our court files are still at that point considered open. So the CRA also has to pay the Department of Justice, in some cases $10,000 a day, to defend themselves against litigation. That's a true story. So the Department of Justice collects money from the CRA to defend the CRA against you in lawsuits. And these Department of Justice lawyers, the last 3 that I've come across were female, under 25, and student lawyers. So imagine that. The Department of Justice are charging the CRA up to 10 grand a day, and they're just utilizing interns to do the job. Wow. So government departments are now stealing from each other. Holy crap. All right, everyone. So I've given you some pretty damn good solutions here. This is the illegal crap the CRA is doing, and here's how you counter it. And I got to remind everyone, without a court order, you ain't got to do nothing, man. Don't do anything for anyone without a court order. The CRA, and I know you're watching, CRA, losers. I'm costing you a lot of money. Why have you not done something yet? Why has the CRA not even filed a single complaint to anyone? No cops have called me. Right? The CRA has not sent me cease and desist letters. They have told me in no way to stop what I'm doing. So, nah. And if I can do it, all of you can do it. Right? I'm just one middle-aged dude here. A lot of you can do the same thing. Let's cost these people millions. Let's put your money where it belongs. That's back in your pocket. Don't forget, everyone, that we have another group consultation taking place Wednesday, October 29th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Head on over to my website, kevinjjohnston.com. That's kevinjjohnston.com, and grab yourself a consultation. You can be in the chat room with only 29 others, because only 30 are allowed. It is a really action-packed night where I give a 30-minute private speech on how taxes work, and then I field everyone's questions about specific tax issues. And if you decide you want to work with me afterwards, then we certainly can do so. That's kevinjjohnston.com, myname.com. Get your consultation now. Woo! That was a lot of information to go through, everyone. Truth Seeker Zeus. We're going to start with the questions now. The CRA just started garnishing your wages. Guys, everyone, the CRA does not garnish your wages. The CRA sends a request, just like I just covered it, a requirement to pay letter, which is the same as a requirement for information letter. They don't send court orders. Your boss is the one stealing from you. Your boss is a gutless slime bag who has decided it's better for him to steal from you and give that money to the CRA. You can criminally charge your boss with theft, sue your boss, and take his entire company from him. The CRA does not garnish your wages. They ask your employer to do it, and your employer does it. Most common answer, I don't want to get audited, which means you work for a complete and total coward. And when you work for a complete and total coward, everybody, you can take whatever you want from them. Whenever you find out that you're working for someone who will sell you out that quickly, take everything you can. Take his client list and go open up your own business. Yeah. Weak losers like that who do not protect their own kind, and I mean their staff, need to have everything taken from them. Take everything that you can. What if the CRA can't find your receipts? They say they can't find them. If you don't cooperate, when the CRA say, give us receipts, you just heard me say it for the last hour. Section 231.1, non-compliance. We tell them, no, you do not have an active investigation open. You can't even ask for that information. No. So what do we got there? Sean, if you are in an appeal, could I buy your corporation? I could buy your corporation anytime you want. Anytime at all. Sean, if you've got corporate debt, go over to my second website, my name, Kevin J. Johnston with the T, .biz. Excuse me. Ooh, I had a big meal today. Biz. In fact, I was at a buffet. I found an $8 buffet, and it was good. And I ate about $8 worth, which was not the right thing to do. So I can take your corporation over any time that I want. Get a hold of us right now, kevinjjohnston.biz. How long can the CRA have a hold on your account? Again, your bank does it, but as soon as we redo your taxes and set your tax bill to 0, that's when the CRA will send off the letter to the bank that will alleviate that. All right, artistic. Okay, so artistic. Randy's standing by right now, or arts psychic, I think it's called. Randy's standing by right now. Go to my website right now. Say, hi, Randy. I'm from YouTube, and he'll reply right away. Okay. And, someone says I've gone downhill. Well, I don't know. I get better looking every day, so I'm going to have to disagree with that statement, pal. But thanks for being a fan. Appreciate that. All right, what do we got here? Let me check the Rumble room, everybody. Oh, it's pretty active tonight. All right, Tax-Free Canada. Question, what is your approach to a denied deduction when seeking a refund to get the best chance of getting that refund? You resubmit the tax year with a $2, $3, or $4 difference. Yeah, you just resubmit it because the denial or their request, everything starts over. The second you have your new one assessed, it all starts over. That's exactly how we do it. All right. Big grain maker. Quote me what all your upfront costs are. Past original 600. What? Sorry, break maker. I'm not sure I'm understanding what you're saying there because you put a lot of information. Could you rephrase that, please? Appreciate that. Stats Canada. Stats Canada tells you that you'll go to jail if you don't cooperate with the census. Whenever the census comes around, just don't answer the door. Just because some idiot knocks on your door, it doesn't mean you have to answer it. Whenever the census guys came around, I just told my kids, let's go out. Because they warned us in advance when the census was happening. I went out. I took the kids bike riding so we wouldn't be there for the knock on the door. It was that easy. I'm not going to talk to anybody about anything. They say the census is important so we know how much money to put into infrastructure. Like you were going to do that anyway. Come on. Fit chick. Question. What would you do if you own property in Richmond, BC, and the government's trying to do a land grab and blame it on a certain Indian tribe? I wouldn't wait. Sell now. Just get out. Anybody who's in any of these areas, you can sit and wait if you want. It will get appealed, and the appeal is most likely going to win. But if you can get full value for the house, just get rid of it. That's not the Indians doing that, by the way. It's not the Indians. That's UNDRIP. That's the United Nations trying to strip everybody of their native rights. But the biggest problem is that white people are so afraid of being called racist that they just capitulate to this stuff. Instead of saying, hey, guys, look, not for nothing, but 130 years ago, you lost the war. Too bad. to the victor goes the spoils. Why are we giving everything back? It doesn't make sense. It was never theirs in the first place. And I know the whole history on that, by the way. Don't bother challenging me on it. All right, next. Superman says, any accountants here in the Toronto area we can work with? Probably not. They're all cowards, unfortunately. All of them are cowards. All righty. Let's head back over now to the rooms here. I'm going to go over to Instagram's questions. What do we got there? My sister lost more than 100 pounds and needed surgery, and CRA is auditing them. What? Just hire me, and I'll get rid of the auditor. The surgery is irrelevant. I'm not too sure where surgery comes into that, but an auditor, we just tell them where to go, and if they keep pestering you, we call the cops. I get rid of auditors. That easy. All right, next. Thank you, Miss Canada. Appreciate that. I just caught wind there are 18 full consultations remaining for November, and there are 8 spaces left now for the October group consultation. Head over to my website, please, everyone, right now, and grab your consultation. Do I have any lawyers in Canada I can use? There's only 2. The rest are absolutely useless. Are you able to redo personal taxes to get a fat refund? Well, yeah, but it's better to start over. And there's another way that I can get you back a ton of money by starting over. But I would need you, it would take a while to explain it. That's a full 1-hour consultation. Head on over to the website for that one. That's a very complex question to answer, but it's an excellent question. I just can't blow the whole show on one question. Anybody wants to get a hold of me, head over to my website, kevinjjohnston.com. Use the contact form. If you want to sell us your corporation, just go to kevinjjohnston.biz, and fill out that form to do with your corporation, and we will jump on it as quickly as we can. Can you resubmit a 2009 tax return if they reassess? Yeah, of course. Whenever the CRA reassesses your tax return, first thing you do is object. The objection form is free. Send that in. You just redo your taxes, give them a slightly different number from 2009, and send that in. And the whole thing starts over. That's how that works. All righty. Having a look here back at the Rumble room. So Superman says, what do you tell a CRA collection agent that keeps calling and sending a collection notice to buy time? You can let them know that you just hired a tax lawyer and the tax lawyer needs 120 days to get the taxes in and to leave you alone, to call the lawyer after the lawyer makes initial contact. Ta-da! Will I buy corporations that went through a consumer proposal? Well, yes, I can do that, but we're going to have to cancel the consumer proposal, at least on the corporation. Yes, I can take your corporation from you. Now, I'm being asked here, what does it mean to buy your corporation? If your corporation in Canada has debt, the CRA will chase you forever for the payroll and the GST or the HST debt. That's because they consider it a trust account. I consider it go F yourself. That's what I consider it. But nonetheless, they will always chase the director for that money. And they're doing it. They're even going back 10 years now and looking for debts and then piling interest and penalties on it. So what do? You sell the corporation to me. And it is a share sale, which means that all of your debt comes to me. It belongs to me. And the CRA would then have to chase me for your debt. And as soon as the CRA figures out that it's me, they know what I'm going to do. They know I'm going to call incessantly. They know I'm going to pester them. They know that eventually I'll track them down at home. They know I'm going to make their lives miserable. They give up. They give up. Oh, yeah. I've even made it a policy. Yeah. And you're probably going to hear about it. I'm sure the news is going to cover this soon. But I've made it a policy that there are select cultures that are not even allowed to call my company. And I say that not because I'm a racist jerk, but because it pisses them off. That's it. The CRA is angry right now because I've said that a select group of people that work for them is not allowed to call my company. And my main corporation is in Panama. You see, all my Canadian corporations are owned by my American corporation, which is in turn owned by my Panamanian corporation. And I'm in the midst right now of transferring ownership of that corporation to a corporation from another country. And I won't tell you which one that is. So it'll be the laws of the country at the top that pertain to it. And there are countries around the world where you literally can say, hey, nobody's allowed to call me who's between 6 feet tall and 6'3". You can say that in these countries, and I readily do. And it's incredible how offended they get. Oh my God, they're so offended. But they quit because I'm considered hostile. Now, if you work for the CRA, please consider me hostile towards you. Please understand that I wish nothing but disease and pestilence upon you all. That I really do wish that micrometeors hitting people in the head was a daily occurrence. I really wish that these micrometeors traveling at, let's say, 20,000 miles an hour would penetrate your skull. I wish that. I pray for it every day. Now, I've never had any luck with praying, but I'm going to pray anyway. There you are. Brendan says, I have corporate debt. How do I get you my corporate debt? Go to kevinjjohnston.biz. Fill out the form right now. Tim or me will get back to you immediately on that. Do I buy United States LLC debt? Great question. I am right now looking into the law on that one. We did try it with a couple of people. The IRS are pretty crazy. They accepted it when we bought the corporations, but they still kept pestering the individual that sold us the corporation. I had to help the individual write a lawsuit against the IRS, which is going to be in the courts next year in June. So I don't know. I got to figure that out. But stick with me, because once we figure out how to crush IRS debt, I will be a billionaire within a week, because the Americans have got a lot of tax trouble. All righty. Thank you, PJ. PJ Plague says, I just love what you do. The CRA and government has earned every bit of it. And there's a little popcorn thing there. Hey, Big D's House of Munch is here. Remember that TV show, guys? Big D's House of Munch? Big D just showed up. Hey, Danny, good to see you, man. I hope you're doing well. I really do. Blue Moon Energy says, I have a business that is not limited or incorporated. Can you help me with payroll and HST owning? All right, that would mean you probably have a sole proprietorship. So what I got to do for you is review your books and put down all the expenses that you probably forgot about. One of the biggest issues with the sole proprietorship is that everybody forgets their marketing expenses. Everything that you do that gets someone to pay attention to you is marketing. And you're allowed to invoice yourself, by the way. Watch how that works. Hi, Kevin. How are you? I need you to do some marketing for me. Okay, Kevin, no problem. I'll do that right now. I'm going to charge you $500,000. Well, Kevin, that's a bit steep, but I agree to your price. Okay, here's your invoice. Now you write that off. And yes, I am talking to myself in that instance. You are allowed to sue yourself. You are allowed to invoice yourself. You are allowed to do whatever you want with yourself. It's a true story. You didn't know that, did you? Well, now you do. So we got to put down every single expense that you forgot about. And I can wipe out that entire tax debt for you. Alrighty. If you put all assets into a numbered corporation, who would you put down as the director? Who would we do that? Bruce Wayne, Clark Kent, Peter Parker. Pick one. Who cares? It doesn't matter. So long as you're the shareholder. The shareholder controls it. In Canada, the director is a sucker. It's not a job. Being the director of a corporation is not a job. You're a sucker that the CRA will attack. That's all that you are. So you are going to be the director on a brand new numbered corporation long enough to open bank accounts with your ID, and then we just simply remove you as director. and you select your director. Go to any comic book index. Go to Chat GPT and say, hey, Chat GPT, I feel like changing my name. Give me 7 really cool names. And it will spit out 7 names and make all 7 of those the director. Doesn't matter. If you're the shareholder, you run the show, you're the boss, you own everything. My contact information is on my website, everyone. Head over to the website, kevinjjohnston.com. Do I think the United States is safe right now? Some of the Republican states are. But the United States, it's gone down an ugly pathway where you can still make a lot of money there, but Americans are so wrapped up in picking sides in everything that they have just forgotten to run their country. They have literally just forgotten to go to work or build a business or go to the gym and ignore all that stuff. Who's going to win between the Ukraine and Russia? Who cares? That's the right answer. Who's going to win between Israel and Palestine? Who cares? That's the correct answer. I told you all, there's a huge war coming between Ethiopia and Egypt. Who's going to win that one? Who cares? Nothing I can do about it. I'm focused on making money. America and Americans have split themselves into left and right, and they're at war with each other all the time, and they're concerning themselves with stupid crap. Then on top of concerning themselves with all the stupid crap out there around the world, they still got to get out to watch the football game and the MLB and the NBA and the NHL and Major League Soccer for some of them and all the movies that they can go see where they can have a $7 popcorn and just shove calories down their throat. It's ridiculous. The number of distractions out there available to everyone. And then on top of that, Hulu and Disney Plus and Netflix and all that stuff. Everyone's distracted. So America is going down the toilet fast, economically speaking, except for the Republican states. But do I want to be in that anymore? You know, I've had an opportunity for the last 2 years to be around people with good manners. Panama is a very polite country. I like good manners, by the way. Manners maketh man. And America and Canada no longer have that. So I don't want to be a part of it. I'll be staying away from the United States, for those who are wondering, for a little while. I mean, eventually I will get my green card, but only because that makes money, not because I'm planning on buying property all over the United States. I'm buying property now in Panama, Colombia, and Argentina, because that's the future. Omni says, if a corporation has a credit card debt and the card was put under my personal name, can you clear the debt? It's 50-50. All right. It's 50-50 that the banks will release the debt to me. So maybe that's the answer. Any tips on how to avoid federal student debt? Yes. Report all your identification stolen. Get a new social insurance number, not under your full name. So if you've got a middle name, get your new social insurance number under just your first and last name. That's it, not the middle name. And that way the debt will no longer be associated to you because you're ditching your old social insurance number and getting a new one. True story. And it's not illegal, by the way. All right. So can you do that with a corporation? Can you write off expenses personally like you meant? Yeah. Okay. Here's the cool part. If you run a corporation, you can invoice the corporation $7 million for marketing if you want. Yeah. Corporations do this all the time. Corporations will have corporation A, B, and C, and they just keep writing each other invoices and never transferring money. And they just keep writing off the invoices. It's crazy how it works. The answer is yes. Do we do personal tax? Yes, we do. I slowed down on it just because we got so busy with it. But great news, everyone, is my AI tax system is working. It officially launches January 1st. You're all going to be able to go to my website, get your personal taxes done online, and never pay tax again. And it's going to be cheaper than hiring us to actually physically do it. Rondell, I have yet to file my corporate returns. And I also heard you say to include your home in your corporation as well. Okay, that's no. Careful with the wording. I said never put your house into the same corporation that you do business in, but always put your house into a numbered corporation that we open up specifically to hold the property. You need to have one corporation to do commerce and the other one to hold your property. The answer is yes. And I can get that done in just a couple of days. Head over to my website and put the request in, please. Nick, I just got a letter from the CRA a week ago saying by October 24th, I need to file my 2024 tax return or they will assess me. Yeah, they will assess you. But when you actually send in your tax return after the assessment gets wiped out in favor of the actual official tax return. Am I interested in buying, this is WA17. Am I interested in buying a Canadian trucking company that has 30 trucks and 121 trailers in Eastern Ontario? Oh, that's one I better have a private conversation with you on. I got to find out everything about those trucks. Everything. Did you, Kevgate, what do you think about moving to Panama? Can you assist? Yeah, we do this all the time. Moving to Panama is great. The best part about moving to Panama is how easy it truly is. Get on an RO plane, land, tell them you're staying for 6 months to buy property, and you can stay for 6 months and look around. That's it. There's no science to coming to Panama. It's easier to now land in Panama than to land anywhere in the USA as a Canadian citizen. Did you say you can buy my corporate debt even if it's consolidated? Yeah. Yes, I can. How do I open a bank account? Sean, clarify the question, please. Canola Girl, if you owe them for over 10 years, they can still come after you. But what is the statutory limitation? The statute of limitations is supposed to be 3 years, but the CRA doesn't care about their own policies and doesn't care about the law. They do what they want these days, which is why tonight's episode was called Illegal Shit the CRA is Doing. That's what they do. Fit Chick says, when I hire you to do 17 years of my taxes back to 2008, how will you get CRA to accept the paper and not digital return? We fill out affidavits. They will accept some of those years, probably not all. And then we just have to resubmit the ones that they don't accept until eventually they do accept them. Tax-free Canada. Is the idea, sorry, I can't read that. Is the idea that eventually one of the resubmitted tax returns will be automatically accepted? Yes. So the idea is that they don't accept your tax return, we just keep sending it in. And I'll keep doing it for the rest of my life until eventually they accept it. Have you heard what happened in Penticton, BC? If that comes to Alberta, all right, yeah, having your house in a corporation will protect you from that. Yes, it will. Don't put anything in your personal name. Always in a corporation. Remember, though, everyone, that's going to get appealed. It's most likely going to win because it's completely unconstitutional. And I mean absolutely completely unconstitutional, where natives can just take your house because they say so. But I'd still arm yourselves. I mean, I've got tons of guns here. Not because I'm worried about anything. I like shooting. I really do. But Canadians, you need guns. You need guns because the government's coming for you no matter what. Marissa's asking, what about land holding corporations? Well, yeah, we open those all the time and we make sure that land goes into them all the time. Yes, you got to protect yourself. Please, we do that. If you change a director's name and need to do something that requires a real person, can you re-add yourself? Yep. And then remove yourself, just like that. Yes. Diddy, approximate cost of setting up a corporation for crypto. What's the best way to protect crypto in Canada? Keep your mouth shut about your crypto. Stop talking about what you have. But yes, I can set that up. Cost $19.50 plus HST. Do I do personal consultations? Dries Banks? Yes, we still have some left. Head over to kevinjjohnston.com and grab yourself one. They're waiting for you. Lourdes, when you transferred personal residence into a numbered company, Wouldn't that trigger having to pay a line of credit on it? No, because here's you on title. We very quietly add the corporation. 30 days later, remove you. No land transfer tax. Nobody knows. Again, we want to keep everything we do private in this lifetime. Back to TikTok here. Blue Moon. If I invoiced myself, then it would be income. So they would tax me for the income. How would that help? Because you're not going to report the income, man. You're just going to report the expense. That's why. Remember what I told you about income tax returns? They are completely voluntary. You can voluntarily put down all your expenses and voluntarily not put down your earnings. Just remember this. They refer to you as a taxpayer. They don't refer to you as a Canadian citizen. And so long as you don't allow yourself to be called a taxpayer and just call yourself a citizen and do whatever the hell you want, you're fine. Just keep telling them, I'm not a taxpayer. Don't call me that. You may as well call me the N-word. Don't call me that. You are allowed to tell people that you find that term offensive. You can send letters into the CRA to tell them, don't you ever call me a taxpayer. I am not a taxpayer. Oh, yeah. Trust me. They don't know what to do. Kevgate, moving tax jurisdiction from Canada to Panama, which the CRA accepted. How long does one have to stay? All right. I get what you're saying, everyone, but you don't have to restructure your entire life just to dodge the CRA. You don't have to come to Panama to do it. I recommend it because Panama's been very good to me. It's a great country. But for yourself, if you're looking to protect your stuff, your earnings, your cash, your property, we do it in numbered corporations where you are not the director. And then there is no way for them to take anything from you because that corporation will not be filing taxes. What if you have a CRA lien on your house when you transfer it? Great question there. What we do is we file a motion in the court to get rid of the CRA lien because the CRA always gets the lien notice from tax court. Tax court does not have the jurisdiction. And then we just hit the CRA with a $10 million lawsuit and watch what happens. They'll drop it pretty fast. If you set up bylaws in a corporation and then later decide to change the bylaws, can you still do that? Yes, because what you would do is write new bylaws and swear them in. You just have to make sure in the new bylaws that you are referencing the fact that the old bylaws are rendered inactive as of a set date. And then you swear them in and you're fine. Absolutely, that is how that works. Mandy Khan says, I sold my business 5 years ago. Now CRA is calling me regarding that corporation. I need more information on that. I want to give you a right answer. I need more info. Sold it to who? For how much? How did the whole thing get reported? Was it an asset sale or a share sale? That's important. If you're going to sell your corporation, you need to make sure it's a share sale. That way, all the debts go with it. That's what I do. When I buy your debt, everybody, your corporations that are struggling, it's a share sale. I get all the debt. Hold on there. Driesbank says, damn, this is poetry and music to my ears, and I'm young. Well, if you're young, brother, do this. Stop paying tax. Stop doing tax returns. Just for anybody who's under the age of 30, stop doing tax returns, man. What the hell are you doing? It's not like there's going to be a Canada pension plan available for you 30 years from now, 40 years from now, and so on. Canada pension plan will be empty by the time I get to age 65. I'm 54 now. Think about that. Why pay into a system that you're never going to collect on? Like the anecdotal tale here is this. I kept telling my mother she was nuts for allowing her boss to take taxes off her check. And she kept saying, you can't do that. You open these corporations up and you don't pay tax. And what's going to happen when it's time for you to get a pension? So, well, what's going to happen is I'm going to keep all the money I make and I'm going to invest it and I'll get more than you will in the future. That's what's going on here, Ma. Now, God bless my mother. She's a sweet lady. I mean, my mother, she fed all the kids on the street. She baked cookies for the local church. She would feed the homeless. My mother was just that kind of gal, all right? But she was dumb. When it came to taxes, she thought following the rules was the best thing to do. But then, all right, my mother, she calls me when she turns 65 and says that she got her first pension check. I said, hold on, Ma, just don't open the envelope. I'm coming, all right? I raced out. I got some cake. I shot over to the house. It's okay. All right, come on, open it. I got, show this to me. And she opens it up, and it was $970 per month. That's all she got. So I said, hey, Ma, what do you think of that? You paid into the system from what, 1967 until retirement age, and you're going to get less than $11,000 a year. Hey, bravo. I think I was the one who was right. So, Ma, I'll go ahead and sit here and wait for you to apologize. Women don't apologize. I never got the apology. I got the, oh, son, why do you have to make me feel so terrible? Because you were wrong. I was right. That's all. That's why. And for no other reason other than ego at that point. I admit that. Lucas, when you add a new director to a corporation and remove yourself, you lose control of the corp account on the CRA site. It disappears and a new director's SIN number to activate it. Any way to get the access back? Yeah, you put yourself back on. But when you change director, you don't have to tell the CRA you changed the director. You just tell the province. That's it. You don't tell the CRA anything. Okay. It's your favorite mom says, hi, Kevin. I moved into my rental place. Congratulations. And Sunny K says, once we do the taxes via AI in the new year, will it send? Oh, yeah. So everybody who wants to do taxes by AI and never pay tax again, just make sure you hit my website January 1st. It's going to be all set to go. Can you structure a business and real estate portfolios in Quebec? If you live in Quebec, I think the only advantage right now to living in Quebec is that Quebec women are easy, at least compared to Ontario women. That's it. Now, that's, sexist, but whatever. I'm a heterosexual man. The Quebec sucks. From a taxation standpoint, it totally sucks because Quebec operates on civic law, not on common law like the rest of the country. So with Quebec's BS running in civic law, they do whatever they want. That means Quebec has its own version of the IRS, being Revenu Québec. Ooh, yes. If you want to run a business in Quebec, live in Quebec, run the business in Quebec, but you are running an Ontario-based corporation that I would register for you in Ontario and do all your invoicing out of Ontario. That's what you do. And that way, Revenu Québec can't touch you. I hate those guys. All right, Lucas says, I understand you don't need to tell the CRA, but you can't sign up on the CRA unless you have a SIN from the new director. All right, one of the things you could do, Lucas, if you've got dead relatives, you could use their SIN number. It's no problem. But you could use your own, and then you remove yourself as director officially with the province, because that's what matters there. The CRA cannot chase someone who's not the director as per the provincial registry. It's not their own files. They're not the registry. They're just collection losers. That's all they are. I am just checking your questions here on TikTok. Adriano says, they sent me a notice of assessment for GST on my company, and I can't charge GST or deduct it. Sell me that corporation, and I'll take care of it all. Your debt goes away. Just sell it to me. In fact, listen, everyone, CRA has really gone out on a limb to do their absolute very best to rip off people as much as possible. It is almost pointless now to do corporate taxes for people because the CRA is taking up to 10 months, sometimes a year, to even look at your taxes. So what's the point of you spending all kinds of money to get corporate tax done when it won't get looked at? If you have any tax problem at all, it's cheaper and faster and better for you to sell me the corporation with the tax debt, and then I'll get you a brand new corporation and you start over, right? So for anyone who wants to get their corporate taxes done, I just make offers to buy the companies now. That's the quickest way to get this finished. Deep dive. I just signed up for your October 29th group session, even though I don't have my own business. Well, yeah, but deep dive. You might have personal tax problems or personal tax questions. And everyone who's there gets to ask a question. And there's some really good questions that come up in the private chat. So stick around. You'll learn a lot. Blue Moon says, what if they audit my books? They would see I invoice myself. As I've been saying for 2 years, you do not have to legally cooperate with an audit. I get rid of auditors all the time. It's a simple legal letter, a couple of harassing phone calls to them, a couple of threats. We put a no trespass notice on your door, and it's all over. They cannot bother you anymore. How do I say your name? Go Drew Joan. How do you insure your vehicles that you put into a corporation when you're not the director? Oh, you just make a phone call to the insurance company saying, hi, my name is John Smith. I am the owner of this company. We would like to insure all of our vehicles. That's it. The director is a ceremonial title in Canada. The director means nothing. The reason that they want you to put a director down is that they just want to chase someone for HST and payroll. That's it. The director does not own the company. The shareholders own the company. No insurance company can tell you, we can't sell you insurance because the shareholder is not the director. The owner of the company is the freaking owner of the company. That's how that works. It's your favorite mom. I moved into my rental house after 10 years, and I also own another house in my name. Do you have any suggestions on what I should do? Should I be putting these properties into corporations? Yes, yes, and yes. Each one should be in its own numbered corporation. You got to protect your stuff. You just have to protect what you got. LC says, what if it's an orphaned corporation? Only director has passed. What happens? Advice is to bankrupt. Now, corporate bankruptcy is a myth. In Canada, the CRA always objects, and they always win their objections because the courts are corrupt. So are the judges. So, no, just you could revive the corporation, sell it to me. All right. What else do we have here in the way of questions? Oh, payroll. Yes. Our company, Canmore Payroll Solutions. You'll love this one, everyone. We save people a boatload of money. All right. Payroll sucks. I hate the fact that payroll is run the way that they run it in Canada currently. What I mean by that is if you make $100,000 a year in Ontario as a staff member, you're getting taxed $26,500. So it's more than a quarter is gone. But the employer, who is taking about $5,300 off of your paycheck, has to take that $5,300 and match it plus an additional 40% on the EI. So the employer has to pay the government of Canada, doesn't have to, chooses to because they're gutless, pays the CRA an additional $5,800 per person per year. If we do your payroll, we take over all the liability for payroll. The CRA would have to chase us and not you for payroll in the future. And we don't take the CPP nor the corporate matching from you. You get to keep that. It's yours, our gift to you. We take care of your payroll. And on February 27th, we then submit everyone's T4s and T4As and T5s. You're off the hook. It's a wonderful thing. If you have a small business or medium size or a large business and you got payroll trouble, let me know. I'm taking over your payroll and saving you money. So if you've got 100 staff in Ontario, I'm saving you $580,000 a year. And here's the worst part about the CPP and the EI corporate matching. You cannot write it off. They will not let you write that off anymore because the CRA are filthy. They're filthy individuals. Do I help putting property under a corporation? What's the fee? I'll guide you to the correct lawyer. The lawyer has to do, I open the corp, I give you all the information, the lawyer does the transfer, life is good. Yes, I can help you with that. Alrighty. Minkman says, so we pay you to take the company debt. Now, you can look at it that way. Here's the reality of it. I buy your corporation for $1. I get everything. Everything. You buy all your assets back for 10% of the value of your entire debt. You get all your assets back. I get the debt. There we are. You get to walk away from your debt, and I get a small fee for it. Win-win. CRA loses. That's how I like it. But don't think for a second that I would physically pay you cash for a debt. I'm going to look at your credit card and say, oh, look at that. You owe $30,000. I'm going to give you, let's say, what, $23,000? What do you want me to do? Give you money because you made mistakes? Come on. I'm a businessman. Hopefully you're a businessman. You want out of debt, I get you out of debt. It's that simple. You can go right back to zero, and I teach you how not to make the same mistakes again. There we go. Christ, good question. Don't go anywhere. Your lawyer says you can't sell your orphaned corporation. You have to bankrupt it. Your lawyer's a freaking asshole, is what he is. Your lawyer is an idiot. That's the problem with tax lawyers these days, is they work for the crown. They don't work for you. That's a lie, is what that is. You can't bankrupt $400K of debt on an orphan corporation, or what they refer to as abandoned corporations. You got to sell it. You just can't bankrupt that. Do you have any idea how much that's going to cost you? I'll tell you right now, bankruptcy lawyers, almost $75,000 down payment. They call it the retainer. Then all the court fees associated with it. Then the release and discharge fees. Come on, man. You'll drop $130K and you'll still owe the money. Your lawyer is a liar. Get rid of him. Sell that to me. Christ asks, is putting your house under a corporation different than putting it into a trust? Yes and no. You're not opening a trust up on that one. But what you're doing is taking a numbered corporation and utilizing it as a trust. Where a family trust comes in handy is you got 5, 6 houses, so each one's in a numbered corporation. And you got the umbrella company that owns it all. Then you put all that into the trust. You're not the owner. The trust is the owner. You're just the executor of the trust. But you don't need to pay 40 grand to set a trust up if you only have one house inside of one corporation. You're just using the corporation as a trust. So long as you're not the director, it's completely untouchable. Vic McKay, CRA seized my business and personal accounts. I paid for a consultation, missed my appointment. All right. Okay, Vic. Randy, go to my website right now. Randy is in the room right now. Tell him your name is Vic McKay. You missed your appointment. He'll get it to you right now. Do it now. Don't wait. Don't wait, because I'm exhausted, guys. I'm hitting the hay like 15 minutes after the show is over tonight. I'm look at my eyes. They're red as hell. I'm exhausted. So do it now. Thank you. Is Panama talking digital ID? Hell no. So far, I mean, look, I've lived in Panama City for almost 2 years now. So far, I have only found 7. And I walk everywhere. I've walked more than half the streets in Panama City because I love to explore. And when I walk my 10 and 15 Ks a day, that's the best time for me to return phone calls. 7 police cameras. And the police cameras are well marked. It actually says police or policia in Spanish. They're blue and silver in color. And there you go. No, they are very far behind on that kind of infrastructure. But this is a Christian country, man. Yeah, it's not Toronto where every maniac in the world lives there. This is a polite Christian society. These cameras are not necessary. I have not seen anyone commit crimes against anyone else here. There's no bar fights. People aren't picking each other up and slamming them down on the ground. You don't have obese women screaming at each other in the middle of the street, ripping each other's wigs off. That stupid crap that America and Canada has is not happening here. So no, they're not talking digital ID at all. In fact, they're going the exact opposite way. El Presidente here is working closely now with Milei in Argentina, who also is dead set against any of that nonsense. It ain't coming here. I can tell you that right now. Flawless. I have a cousin who pays 300 to 500K per quarter and has a good lawyer. First off, that's a good point. Never do taxes monthly or quarterly, ever. Stupid idea. The CRA will say stuff to you like, well, you have to because you meet a certain threshold. Okay, fine. So let's open up 5 corporations and split the sales up between all 5 corporations and just do annual reporting. Never do quarterly, never do monthly, because that way you're spending all your time just doing taxes as opposed to doing your job. And I can't find write-offs for you fast enough. I prefer to sit down with a tax file and spend a full 36 hours on it, like, straight, work on everything going through the entire year, as opposed to fumbling around with that. He's got a bad lawyer and he got bad advice. All right. We are down to our last 14 minutes here. Michelle, sorry, you said same for BC. What was the question that you're asking there? Mandy says, you have a corporation with 30 employees. What's the cost per month? The cost for us to do payroll is a resounding $0.00. We don't charge for it. We make our money on the interest that we earn whilst we are holding funds to give to the CRA. That's how we do it. And on top of all that, you don't pay CPP and you don't pay EI corporate matching. So again, in Ontario, that's $5,800 per person per year. Randy is standing by. Go to my website right now, kevinjjohnston.com. Put payroll in the subject line. Do it now. Give us the brief rundown of what your source deductions are per month, company name and whatnot, phone number, obviously, and we're going to get a hold of you either tonight or tomorrow morning. All right, and that's a serious thing. I love payroll, so get that over to me right away. What if there's no assets in your corporation when you sell it to me? You're still selling me the debt. Your corporation has pens, mice, cups. You are allowed to designate this. Here's what you could do. You see this mouse here, everybody? Did you know that William Shatner once exhaled on it and has a little bit of his spit right here? This mouse is worth $700,000. I mean, I just lied about the William Shatner thing, but the mouse is still worth $700,000. You know why? Because I say so. So you sell me a mouse and you get the mouse right back. The point of it is you're out of debt. That's all that matters. Spider, welcome back. All right, Apple user, can I write off a $50,000 Rolex plus HST through my Canadian corporation? If you give it away to your best client, it's a promotional expense. Sorry, something in my eye there. Of course you can write that off. Oh, but your accountant's probably too afraid to do it. I'm not. I'll do it. Why does Google search call me a scammer? Because left-wing nuts like yourself have manipulated the media to say so. Because when I was telling everybody about the pandemic and the fact that it was all that nonsense, all right, the Canadian government didn't like that very much because I was costing them a lot of money. Remember when I exposed Justin Trudeau having a boyfriend? Yeah, the government didn't like that either. Remember when I trained Canadians back in 2018 on how to not pay municipal fines and how to beat speeding tickets for free? Remember all that? The Canadian government didn't like that. So what happens here is I've cost the Canadian government hundreds of millions of dollars because I like people and they don't. And I hate the government and I like getting in their way. So they slander me using the media. And I think it's great because you'll find my name in every newspaper in Canada calling me racist and homophobic and Islamophobic and blah, whatever phobic they cook up. Like these words don't even exist in the dictionary, but they call me these things, not realizing how stupid they are to give me about $50 million plus worth of free advertising. I absolutely adore the free advertising that they give me. Who cares what Google says? Google's a left-wing nut job corporation anyway. They're morons. All right, let's check out more of your answers here, or questions, sorry. If you owe so your name is Rose, I guess. You owe the CRA $56,000. What? Corporate? Personal? What is that? Let me know. Expand on that, please. Will the same CRA agent call you from 3 different numbers? Possibly. They use telephony systems, virtual phone numbers. A lot of them still work from home, which should be illegal, but they do. So, yeah, it's possible. What's the best way to close a business? If it's a corporation, sell it to me. I want that. That way you get to walk away completely tax-free, debt-free, problem-free. No, Jimbo, I don't produce my phone number publicly, but you can grab yourself a consultation on the website, and then we will speak face-to-face in my chat room, which brings me to another really good point here. Do not give anyone money who looks like me through social media. I do not use Telegram. I think it's a joke. I'm not on Signal. I'm not on any of these things. So don't send money to people. If you do not speak to me on the phone or in a chat room, everybody, then you're getting scammed. There's hundreds of fake accounts out there right now pretending to be me. And unfortunately, some of you are falling for it and giving them money. I don't ask for money before we meet, except through my website. And the only thing I ask for there is the consultation fee, but it's on my website. And that's when one of my staff will get back to you almost immediately to let you know what your date is with a link to the chat room to come and see me. I do not do anything through DMs on social media, aside from to give you a link to my website, all right? Don't give people money here. How do I Weasel's asking, how do I take up my RIFs without paying all the taxes? Well, you pay all the taxes that particular year, but then I put every single legal write-off into the following year and get you back all that tax money in the following year. But you need to let me know about 2 months in advance before you pull that money out so that I can do it for you properly. Rig says, Rig, I'm sorry, I don't understand that question. Could you rephrase it, please? There we are. We're down to 7 minutes here, folks. I'm going to go over to the Rumble room now and have a look at the questions there. Tax-free Canada question. Where's she now? Oh, Superman says, what if you have a corporation for a few years and you've never filed a return? You can just keep right on going, not filing a return. You can hand the corporation over to me, or we can put your taxes down at a loss. You decide, and everything is good. True Patriot Love says, hey, Kevin, what savings accounts would you recommend to protect my savings from freezing or confiscation by the Canadian government? I'm also a Canadian government dissenter. I like that. We open up a numbered corporation for you, and everything that you do for the rest of your life in Canada is through corporate bank accounts. You just got to make sure you're not the director of the corporation. Done. Your favorite mom is asking or saying that she does not know how to put houses into a corporation. Yeah, I got to teach you that in a consult face-to-face where it's just you and I talking. Unless you want to be part of the group one, which is less than, like, it's 1/3 the price, actually, the group one. And you can ask that question and I can cover it because a lot of people do talk about that during those consultations. By all means, head over to my website and grab that now. Pasqua, I'm selling my townhouse, but I don't want to declare it. Your thoughts? Yeah, just shut up about it. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Yeah? Yeah. Remember Bugs Bunny when he would slap the bull in the face? Yeah, shut up. All right? Shut up. Don't talk about property that you've sold. You're under no legal obligation to tell anyone that you've sold a property, especially the CRA. Nick, how would you walk away from a sole proprietorship and then start up a numbered corporation? Love to talk about this more in person. All righty. Very good. So, Nick, come on into the October 29th consultation. That'll be a good one to cover. Tamela, can you do an RRIF if my money is in gold and silver and hard assets? Yeah. But what's the goal? You need to clarify that one for me. Hey, Mitch, my name. Everybody who wants a consultation, my name. Kevin J. Johnston. That's JOHNSTON.com. Yeah. There's 2 J's in there. Kevin J. Johnston, not Johnson. It's Johnston, not Johnstone. Johnston.com. All right. Head over there and you can grab yourself a consultation. Would I ever tell the CRA I sold a rental property? Hell no. Hell, I'm not sending the CRA photographs of me naked either. No, 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 and no. Yeah, and believe me, everyone, none of you would send pictures of yourselves naked to the CRA. You telling the CRA about your house that you're selling is the same thing. That's really intimate, private information. Keep your mouth closed about it, please. All right. Arthur, do I have to file my first return within 60 days of opening a corporation? No, that's a myth. They always say we may shut it down. They never do. No. Remember this, when you see the word may, we may shut it down. We may cancel your card. We may suspend your license. That's just a threat. And it's a threat where they are protecting themselves with clever language. We may do it, which means they may not do it. Most likely will not do it. Will says, if you start a one-person corporation, who do you appoint as a director? You at the beginning. Race out, get your bank accounts, then remove you as a director and put Arnold Schwarzenegger on as director or whichever name you prefer. What do I know about unions, Michelle? Quite a bit, in fact, but it's a matter of, what's the question? And we're down to 2.5 minutes, so I'm kind of out of time for something that complex. But don't worry, I come back every Tuesday. I'm always here. I'm like herpes. I just keep coming back. What does it cost for a numbered corporation in British Columbia? Yes, so Zenman, if you were to grab a 1-hour consultation and the only thing that you wanted was a corporate registration, I would put the 1-hour fee towards the corporate charge. It's $19.50 plus Ontario's HST because my main corp is registered in the province of Ontario. Yeah, I haven't been in my home province for almost 5 years now, and I don't miss it. And yes, I still do pray every day for a nuclear weapon to hit downtown Toronto. I do. I mean that. That comes from the heart. Can you get RSP money back if it's been 5 years? Yes, but it's really tricky. And if it's personal taxes, it's about $1,500 for the one tax year to get that done. It's a lot of work, but the answer is yes. Yes, we can. All right. And yeah, I am serious. I'm being asked here in email, am I serious about young men under 30 should never pay tax? I mean it. Just don't even do tax returns. Stop paying into the system. Keep all of your money. Robbie says the CRA said they're sending the police to arrest me for not filing corporate taxes. Yeah, okay. Tell them, no problem. I'm waiting on the front porch. Of course, they're not going to do that. The cops do not arrest people for civil law. The CRA functions only in civil law. It's civil. It's not criminal. There is nothing the CRA can do to get you arrested for not paying your taxes. That's called a bluff, everybody. Don't fall for it. Period. All right. Hey, wow. 2 hours. It just absolutely flew by, did it not? Woo. If you're on Instagram and TikTok, stick around for 5 more minutes. Everybody else here, I got to go. My name is Kevin J. Johnston. This is the Tax and Money Show, which is live every single Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on freedomreport.ca. Come around every Friday, learn lots. Love you all. Good night.